Hey guys, it's Sunspire coming at you from the Langden OTS. I took second place with Branded-Despia. Let's get into the thick of it. So we got 3 Fallen of Abbas and 3 Alaba, really bread and butter. They're like your only 3 orbs as monsters, so it really does you favours. You got 1 Tragedy, and then you got 1 Quem and 1 Cartesia. A lot of people like to play a 2 of one of these. I disagree with that. I think that your normal summons should primarily be these and these. Playing more of these means you're going to open more normal summons, and I think it's only best to not open that many. I played 1 Albion, 1 Mercurial. Obviously, Branded lost targets, monster negate, extra draw. This came up loads today in situations where I was sending Branded Retribution and then drawing 1 as a fresh draw. I actually drew into Branded Fusion 4 times off that today, so it was kind of nuts. For the Bestials, you got Lebellion and Saranir. Again, standard issue. It's like this actually came up a lot today as well. Playing against Voiceless, banishing low off of this was really helpful. And then I used it to go into Lebellion and set up a load of protection. 1 Dark Magician, because obvious, we all know what Dragoon does. I played 1 Nibiru, mainly as a cross-out designator target. I don't see any reason to play 3 in main at this point, because Branded, your non-engine, should be as small as possible. You need to draw into engine as much as possible, and honestly, this doesn't do much against Branded. I more just had it as a cross-out designator target, just in case I made a board where it actually did do something. 3 Ash, because obvious, it's Ash, it's good this format. It's good every format. So I got 3 Branded Fusion, 3 Opening, 3 Fusion Deployment. Obvious, they're all your combo starters. This card is crazy, should not be at 3.
How many times did you draw it today?
In total, 7. Off of Draw for Turns and the Albion, 7. I actually got triple anti-spelled. I was in complete disrepair about it because I inputted 2 of them and then he flipped over the 3rd one. I just top-decked a Branded Fusion, saved, waited a turn and activated it. He was negating my Alabas non-stop, so I just was not going to get to it off of that, and I just top-decked it. I got 2 Super Poly. I don't like 3 in main. I find 3 is too much, so I side the other one. And then a really weird choice. I got 2 Cross-Out Designator.
Why 2?
I don't like 3 Cross-Out Designator. It's not as diverse as cards like Triple Tactics Thrust, which I also play 2 of. I find Designator is a brick in a lot of cases. So while a lot of people would say 1 Thrust through Designator, I even out on the 2, because this is going to be live in infinitely more cases than this will be. And this is just kind of crash. You know, if you go in second, this card is insane. Your opponent negates something, you just go Thrust, add a Branded Fusion. Like, you're just going to pop off. Speaking of Triple Tactics, I played the 1 Thrust Talents. It's more a cross-out Designator target than anything else, but it came up once today. For the one-off spells, we got Called by the Grave, obvious reasons, Called by the Grave, it's really helpful. Foolish Burial and Gold Sarcophagus, just extra combo starters. If you send Tragedy off either of these, you immediately just leap into full combo. Or if you send Mercurial off of this, you can use it to get Albion or Quem or Cartesia. So it's really helpful. We got Branded in red and Branded lost for the last 2 spells. This card is insane. This card does not deserve to be legal. I've caused Fenrir's to miss timing today. I caused so much problems for people. I was against Cash, then my opponent summoned a Barone. I activated this, he didn't negate it for some reason. I just normaled an Albaz and it all just went uphill from there. Branded in red, obviously insane. It's Branded in red, don't need to explain that. Moving on to traps, triple impermanence. Again, don't need to explain impermanence, it's super helpful. 1 Branded Retribution. I actually used the first effect of this more than I used the second effect today. Retribution on original Sinful Spoils is a really good move. They just can't respond to it, and they just have to deal with the fact that Sinful Spoils is gone. Same with Popular. You hit Popular with this, they encounter problems as well. And for final trap, my thrust target, Fusion Duplication. So against my Cash opponent again, I dropped a Branded Fusion. I had this in hand. Used it to summon in 1 turn. I had Dragoon, Mirror Jade, Granranol, and Bestial Rebellion on the board, and he just couldn't play through it. It was just far too much for any one person to deal with. Moving on to my extra deck, it's pretty standard for Branded-Despia. I didn't really change too much other than a few small bits. For starters, basics, 2 Mirror Jade, the Iceblade Dragon. This card carried me today. Always has. It's just been insane. Helped me in every single round. 2 Albion the Branded Dragon. Again, it's standard issue. There really isn't any reason for you not to be playing this. 1 Libellion. I don't respect Cached Hero as a matchup. Like, this deck is a fine Cached Hero matchup. You really don't need to worry about it that much. Like, oh, if they hit your Libellion under Shifter, it's a shame. But you have things like Titaniclad. You can just swing into their big guys, their Cached Heroes, so it's really not a problem. 1 Sanctifier, 1 Rinderbrum. I used this effect in almost every game today. I super polyed almost every single opponent with a Rinderbrum, just because it kept coming up. Sanctifier is Sanctifier, I don't need to explain that. Sanctifier actually saved me against Control Vanquish Soul earlier today. He made a Typhon and bounced my Dragoon back into the extra deck, but when I drew the Branded Fusion, I just made the Sanctifier and then just went, cool, I'm just going to swing over it. Final Abaz Fusion is Titaniclad. I think this card is underrated. I think more people should be playing Titaniclad. Super Poly targets. I played Garura, Dragos-Tapelia, and Mud Dragon. These all came up. I've summoned all of these today. They always do. Like, this is super easy to make with Albaz, and these two are also kind of easy. I actually sent this off Granganol earlier and top decked a Branded Fusion off of it, so it's a pretty nice card. I do not play Luluwa Lilith. I play Q-Eritis instead. I prefer the float effect of this, and I think it makes it better. Plus, in a lot of hands that can normally be dead, you can make Q-Eritis, whereas you can't make Luluwa Lilith because you're fusion locked. 1 Granganol the Dust Dragon. 1 Guardian Chimera. I don't need to explain either of those. They're both just staples. 1 Dragoon. Why 1? I know a lot of people play 2. I just don't think it's worth it. I think it takes up too much extra deck space at that point. Like, I play the Titaniclad instead, because in a lot of cases where people have like DD Crow or Bestials and they hit your Albion, there's still often ways to get this into grave off of like Granganol and stuff. And so you can dump this instead of your other Albion, and then just summon a Quem off it directly. Plus, it doesn't cost you the discard to do it, whereas going Albion into opening does. That sums up main and extra deck. It's 44 cards on main and 15 on extra. No surprise there for the extra deck. Going into my sideboard, honestly, I didn't really side all that much today. A lot of the stuff I needed was in main, and the things I did side in were pretty generic. 2 Cyclone. I didn't bother with the third. I didn't bother with the third. I don't think it was really that necessary. I didn't side this in once today because it never came up. 3 Drone Lockbird. It's dropped. I don't need to explain that. It's just insane, this format. The other 2 Nibiru's, just in case you're in Fire King or Snake Eyes, where this card just basically one-shots them. You kill their board immediately, and then just go into a Mirror Jade, banish the token, and swing it. It's just insta-game. And then the MVP for the day, the MVP of the format that really needs to get banned, 3-Dimension Shifter. This card is insane, bro. Like, half the decks can't play under it. I played against Voiceless, I activated this. Against Cash, I activated this, just to lock him out of the Decoy Talker Heat Soul line, because it's the only one that actually does anything to Branded. Snake Eyes Fire King for round 1. I played this. I OTK'd under it, so it was great. The third Super Poly. A Herald of the Abyss, just in case of Pearly. The deck is still looming about in some dark corners, so you got to be very careful of it. Same with Dragon Link, which is why I chose to play Albalanatus, although it never came up. So I think there were a few instances where I could have used it, but I didn't side it in because I didn't expect many Dragon cards from my opponent. Like, my Voiceless opponent was on Branded Voiceless, so if I'd have known they were on that, I probably would have sided this in. Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. I actually didn't use this today. This card did not come up. I didn't bother with the Gimmick Puppet Lock at any point. I just don't think the deck needs it. And then a really odd choice, Branded Banishment. So Banishment buffs the Dragoon board. Snake Eye Fire King can out Dragoon, but if you just set this, you can just immediately go and resummon the Dragoon and Super Poly their board, so they lose a vast amount of resources. Like, on their own board, they're only popping like 2 cards is the thing before they OTK you, so they're probably going to get rid of like the face down Dragoon or whatever other monster you have. This stays, you just flip this over, summon back the Dragoon, and then Super Poly their monsters together, and that's it. They're now like in a position where you have a Dragoon and a Garura, they have nothing, and then you just swing at them for game. That's all, guys.